Alright, last problem that we're going to look at here. It says if G is obtained from F. So if you notice, of course this one's dotted in, but if you notice this is labeled as F, of course this is labeled as G. So if G is obtained from F, so this graph comes from this one is what that means. And of course this is obtained by a sequence of transformations. It wants you to find the equation for G. Okay, so what you've got to do first is whatever graph that they give you as your starting graph, which in this case is the F, you've got to know out of the 5 functions we've just finished talking with, which one is it. So based on the shape, this is the shape of your square root, your y equals square root x. That's that basic shape of that function that I gave you in your notes when we got started. Now you've got to decide what has happened to this to get this graph. And first of all, just looking at just this one point, you notice this point has been shifted down 3 units. So the fact that it's gone down 3, that would tell you one particular transformation that has happened. Now the other transformation, of course this typically curves and goes out to the right, but instead of that it curves and goes out to the left. To make that happen, then this graph had to have had a y-axis reflection, because if you have it on this side it would have to come across the y-axis in order to get it to go out to the left instead of out to the right. So y-axis reflection would be your other transformation. Now you've got to write your equation, of course using square root because that's your function, but showing that it has these 2 transformations. So of course they're wanting you to call this g of x. Now a y-axis reflection means you're going to have to put in a negative, but it's going to have to be in the function. So in that case that would have to be underneath your square root symbol in order to be considered in your function. And then the down 3, anytime you have a shift up or down, if you remember that comes after the function at the very end. So down would indicate that you would need to subtract 3. So you wouldn't put it underneath, because if you put it underneath then that's the left or right, so you would need to put it at the end.